Okay, hello everyone, and welcome to Leadership Talks. This is Security Systems News webcast series where we speak to leaders in the industry for 20 minutes each week. My name is Paul Rigus. I'm the editor of Security Systems News, and I am very excited to have industry legend Fredrik Nilsson. He's the VP Americas for Access Communications, and thanks for joining us, Fredrik.
Thanks for having me, Paul. It's great to be here, and thanks for, I'm not sure I'm a legend, but if you say so, I'll pretend to be that over the next 20 minutes and enjoy it.
But modest as always. That's all right. Well, over the past few years, I've had the opportunity to get to know you and the company, and attending some great access events at several conferences, and there always seems to be such a great energy and vibe around the company. I thought a good place to start would be just to talk about your company's culture and how important that is, and then maybe we can get a little bit into your leadership style as well.
Yes, and thanks for the comment. I feel energized, and it's interesting. I've been with Access for 21 years, and it's actually a real blessing to still be very energetic about getting into work after 21 years with the same company. And it does, a lot of it does come down to the culture, as you say. We're all very enthusiastic about this market, but more important about the company. And when we do hire people, a lot of it is focused around culture, make sure they're fit with our culture. And we have a couple of core values that we live by. One is act as one, which is all about the teamwork and doing things together. The second one is always open, which is how we do internally by being as transparent as possible and communicating goals and have a very open door kind of policy. And also with partners and work very structured with our partners with a honest, good long-term vision and adhering to those rules that we set up. And the last one is think big, which is probably what you see with the energy. The company is very long-term in our approach. We don't do anything for short-term gains. We try to do it the right way and build the programs in the right way. And always investing a lot in the future. So in sales, there's nothing better than getting new exciting products all the time. And we do invest a lot in long-term research and also focusing on doing it the right way with quality and values and so forth. So I'm glad you brought it up because I think that's what shines through when you visit an Access conference or so. Yeah,
it's always it's fun and informative, which is a great combination. So with all your experience in the industry, I'd love to ask you about where you think the industry is going. Particularly in the area of new, video surveillance and camera technology?
Yeah, that's a good question because for the longest time, our goal was to say, hey, the market is going from analog over to IP. We call it convergence. People get tired of the term, but we kept on kind of plugging along and saying this is a better technology for the customers, for the partners. We need to continue to develop and educate. And now I think the market is 80% IP or so. So the question is what's next? And I think what's important to remember is what's driving the industry. It's also convergence from manpower over to technology, like most other industries are moving from, being more automated and having technology to augment tasks that used to be done just by humans. And if you look at the amount of money that's being spent in the US every year to keep the country safe or efforts to keep it safe, it's around $1,000 per capita, which is a lot of money. It's $300 billion. And it's only around 2% of that goes to video surveillance. And I believe that with better technology and better systems and better scalability and integration, we can continue to augment guards and police, which is where most efforts and money are being spent, to make them more efficient. And that's kind of the future of the technology, to continue to do that, as well as integrating with other IP technologies. And if you look at, for example, IP intercom that we're getting into now, both with our own solutions and also with the company 2N that we acquired a year and a half ago. The IP intercom market, surprisingly, it's only 10% IP. The rest is proprietary analog type solutions. So there we have yet another market that we can do the same thing as we did in the IP surveillance market, and that's going to take a number of years. So that's kind of everything is trending towards the IP, and things are growing for different reasons, predominantly because of automation of tasks.
Yeah, I agree with you, and that's interesting with the IP audio. And how about on the product front for the company? What are some new things that you've released or working on? I know you can't share any secrets, but what are kind of the direction that you're going on the product front?
So I think there's a couple of things. If you look at the video side, there is definitely continuous improvements when it comes to camera technology, making it better, making image quality better, making it more useful. But there is also an initiative that we started some 2 years ago of converting the small and medium size and small and medium business market over to IP, which was lagging behind. It was mostly in the enterprise at first. So we've come out with complete solution in that area, because when it comes to small and medium business, typically end customer partner want to have a solution from one vendor instead of a best of breed that we've been focusing on the IP side for enterprise. So that's a shift for us on the IP camera side. The other one is a more general IoT trend, which is really the roots of Axis, and how we came up with the first IP camera back in 1996 was to connect everything to the network. And we've been doing that quite proactively, or quite actively, over the last 2-3 years, first with IP access control, and now over the last 2 years with IP intercom, as I mentioned before, which is a market only 10% IP today, so that's great opportunity. And then IP audio for different purposes, both public address as well as more background music. We think that's a really cool solution to solve a problem in a much better way for the end customers, whether it's schools or retails or airports. So that's a new area we're looking into as well. And last, which I think we brought up the first time at the press breakfast at ISC West, is IP connected radar. And it's not so much the technology of radar, it's more for perimeter and area detection. We think it's a really great technology to use for that purpose, to help guards and help end customers having better detection in wide areas and in perimeter. So continuing on the same track of connecting more things and adding value to the overall solution by having more things on the IP network that can interact and integrate.
Okay, great. Now I wanted to bring up sustainability. I know that's an important topic for the company. Can you tell me which strides the company's been able to make in this area?
Yeah, I think it ties into values, and we have a company mission or vision is innovating for a safer, smarter world. And I think one word in there at the end is the world. And if you want to try to help make the world a little smarter and better, we can do our fair share, not only by doing better product, but also trying to make sure that they're sustainable and do our best to preserve the scarce resources we have on the globe. And one thing that we have a sustainability report is on our internet, it's on our website, and we to share with our partners and customers what we're doing there. But one thing in particular is doing our cameras PVC free. PVC is not a great plastic to have out in the environment, and it costs extra to make cameras PVC free, but we make a concerted effort over the last couple of years, and I think over 90% of our cameras and encoders are PVC free today. We will not be happy until it's 100%. Take some time. We've been part of and signed the US Global Compact and been participating in that over the last 10 years. And to kind of promote and engage sustainability practices. And then we have also something we call the Green Product Design Group. And we have, I forget the exact models, we have 5 new cameras that are done with more than half of the plastic is recycled plastic, instead of using manufacturing more plastic, which is the last thing the globe needs. And we also, on the more broader side of corporate sustainability, corporate social responsibility, we're active in different ways around the globe. Here in North America, especially with Mission 500, which I think is serving a great cause of helping people, especially children in need, both here in the US and globally, and trying to raise money and be engaged and spending time and money. And we also have all the employees have a certain number of hours of social responsibility you can book. You don't have to take PTO. You can use that those hours and do something that's good for your local community or something on a more national basis.
That's great. Yeah, I'm glad you brought up the giving back part. I think that's important. And Mission 500, great that you mentioned that organization. They're doing some great things. Now, if we switch gears a little bit here, I'd love to talk about the new book. It came out recently, Intelligent Network Video. Can you tell everyone about the book, and then maybe we can get into some of the details?
Yeah, it stemmed from early on in the early days of IP when there was a lot of education needed. We found that there was not some of the books on video surveillance back in the days were more on the older analog technology, and we felt there was a need to do something with IP. So I think it was 8 years ago, the first edition of the book came out and became quite popular and referenced. I think there was close to 12,000 copies printed of that edition. And as much as I was excited about that it was used, and I got a lot of emails and comments about it, I was stressing more and more because more of those emails over the last few years is like, when is the second edition coming out? I'm like, geez, I did the first one, it was so much work, and now I need to do a second edition. And when it was finalized in the beginning of this year, I was extremely excited. And what was interesting updating it is how much has changed and how much has actually stayed the same. The thing that changed the most is really on the camera technology. The camera technology has become so much better, both when it comes to resolution, but more importantly when it comes to low light and WDR and image quality in general. IP is not the question if you're going to do it, it's how you're going to do it now. And some things on the IT side have be more static when it comes to how switches and storage and all those kind of things work. But there's also new technologies such as thermal and hosted video that's brought up in new books. So I think it ended up to be 50% more content and everything was revised, and it was a lot of work, and now I'm enjoying not having to think about it for the next few years until people remind me again. So
yeah, when is the third edition coming out? Come on, Fredrik.
No, in 2 years you can ask me that question. No, but it's exciting, and more and more content being available online, you can update things quickly there. But as much as we think, there is still a need for more textbook kind of material, and people do enjoy to having as a reference to flip back and forth and read about it and seeing it in one package. So it's there's thousands of copies that got out on the second edition. So I'm pretty happy with the reception there. And if there's need be, I'll do a third edition for you, Paul.
Yeah, I'm sure you will, and I look forward to reading this. Now, I know this is on top of everyone's mind these days, and I know you could talk for hours on this topic, but I just wanted to get some comments on cybersecurity. Can you tell me what you're doing on this front? What are some of your thoughts on cybersecurity?
Yeah, I mean, we've been in the IoT business for many years, ever since the first IP camera, actually before that, and we have some experience in that field with tens of millions of units connected, and with connecting devices on the network, and that's us and our integrators and end customer, it does come with responsibility of making it as cyber secure as possible. And cybersecurity is something, if you're in the IT industry, you've been knowing about for many years, and I think we are kind of waking up to the threats a little bit here in the security industry over the last 1 or 2 or 3 years. It's been talked about a lot more, and a lot more vulnerabilities have been exploited out there on the market, and get big press, both in security press as well as in general press. And it comes down to 3 things. It comes down to having the technology properly implemented in the products. It comes down to educating ourselves and our partners about it. And the third thing, it comes down to processes around it, tools and processes to mitigate, because no system is ever going to be 100% secure. It's how you react to when those vulnerabilities are exploited. And one benefit we have is that all our products are in-house developed. So when we need to do a firmware upgrade because of new vulnerability being found, we can act relatively quickly, and we're developing platforms to communicate to partners effectively and giving them the tools needed to effectively upgrade. And that is our responsibility. Yeah, and this problem will just accelerate, I think. It's not going to go away. So we need to do more in that space. We still have a long way to go as an industry. And we need to remember the whole industry is built on, we're providing security, physical security, but the whole industry is built on trust. Companies trust us, and this can ruin the trust for the whole industry. So we need to be very engaged as an industry to address this in the most professional manner.
Yeah, I agree with you. Those are good observations. How about some other industry trends or new emerging technologies that you're keeping an eye on or maybe excited about?
I'm quite excited about that. You can package a lot of things into this, but big data, and this is, not unique to an extent to the physical security industry, but in a general trend, who owns the data, first of all, and what can you do with the data? And when it comes to video, you immediately think about video content analysis or video intelligence, and what we can do with the data there. But more exciting is how you combine all the data we collect to data from other systems, if you have in banking, for example, fraud systems, or in retail, and do something more and more proactive with the data instead of just reactively looking at the video when you found something went wrong in a retail store, in a school, or in a city center. So it's very exciting. It's also kind of intimidating, the task, because of the amount of data and ownership of the data. But I think it's a great opportunity to add more values to our end customers and integrators and possibilities. So that's something we're tracking quite closely and try to develop solutions and services towards that can benefit our partners.
Yeah, I agree with you. What data is definitely the as someone was saying, is the new oil, which I thought was interesting. Yeah. Okay, good. And now I did want to bring up, we have a couple of minutes left, the new Experience Center, which opened during the the ASIS International Conference in September. Can you tell me, kind of give me a quick virtual tour of the Experience Center, and tell me about what your goals are with that facility?
Yeah, we're quite excited about our new Access Experience Centers. The goal is to have 6 here in the United States. We have 1 in Mexico and 1 in Canada as well, so that's 8 in North America, and we have another 20 or so globally. And it's really about 2 things. One is to bring the Access experience close to our partners and customers. So this is not a regular office, it's more of a demo center to demo technology and solutions, our solutions and our partner solutions. And it's also training centers and meetings rooms and labs to test technology as well. And that's been very well received. As much as internet is a very efficient way to provide some information, in our industry built on trust, it's a lot of face-to-face and testing technologies and doing pilots. And these AECs are serving the purpose, and also recognizing that the United States and North America is a big continent, and not everyone want to fly to Boston all the time. So that's one thing. The other thing is, as we've grown, we try to stay efficient, and around those AECs, we form teams, or we call them business areas, that have a business area director and sales manager and marketing manager to run the business locally and to delegate responsibility, which is in line with our culture of trust, and have them drive their own business with their own flavors of how they want to do marketing and how they approach certain segments, customers. And that's also been successful. I am a firm believer of, give people trust and give them the responsibility and accept that they do a few mistakes here and there, and that's going to provide for better both culture and that energy you talked about in the beginning here.
Yeah, no, it's good, full circle. And so the 20 minutes that went by very fast. Thank you, Fredrik. It's great speaking with you.
Likewise, thank you for having me. As you said, it did go by very fast. So thanks for your time, Paul, and thanks for everyone listening.
Yeah, and hopefully I could, I'll see you at an upcoming show. I know we have Steve Safaro from Axis at Cloud Plus in November coming up, so excited to have him, and I'm sure we'll bump into each other. Thanks again, Fredrik.
Thank you, Paul. Take care.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.